Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How are you? Nene said, love this channel. Love you, Nene. Hello, Angela K. Sailor said, hasn't even started and she's pissed. Hello, Dolores. Hello, Pat. Kiki, what up, my friend? True Crime Beat. Common Sense 101. Welcome back, everybody. And I see we have some people in here that said they're new to our hood. Welcome. You're going to like it around here. I promise you will. The only person that's going to get on your nerves, honestly, is me. Hello, Mary. Chloe, Carly. Woohoo! Carly said, best channel on YouTube. That's because of you guys. That is because of you guys. So, let's start with this. Let's welcome each other and our new friends and remind everybody that we're halfway through the week.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
It's hump day. We're almost to the weekend, and I'm thinking about our friends in Florida a lot. One of the best comments I've seen is from Chloe. She said, I am a Floridian. We have hurricane watch parties and just hunker down. Woo, woo. That's kind of like Oklahoma when we get a tornado. People stand outside and just watch the damn thing go on. You can have debris flying all around you, and they're like, should I go inside now or not? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Earl? Oh, it looks like a big one to me. What do you think? Well, the wind's not knocking me over yet. So yes, I totally understand that. Let's look at one of the most recent updates about the hurricane that's hitting our friends in Florida.
A little concerning for me to see these videos and pictures coming in of high water levels already, guys, when we think the peak's going to be overnight and early tomorrow morning.
And Bobby, we just got more video coming into our newsroom right now from Fort Myers Beach, some of the flooding we're seeing there. Let's take a look at it. I'm just seeing it now as well. This is, as I mentioned, Fort Myers Beach. You can see the water we're seeing in that area, an area that, of course, has already been hit hard less than a year ago, right, with Hurricane Ian. Just the thought of what this must be like for people in that area seeing this.
Yeah, it was 11 months ago yesterday that Hurricane Ian hit in this area right here. They're still rebuilding. There's a lot of rebuilding to go there, and it's unfortunate they're going to hit once again with some flooding there. We'll be back with more of our coverage right here on 10 Tampa Bay.
Horrible. Horrible. And I want to know, how much do they pay meteorologists to stand out in the stuff? Slim said, makes me cry. This is hard to see again. And Slim is just now rebuilding. So's our friend Rexy. Don't get me wrong, though. I love Florida. Love it. All right. One person I could care less if their jail cell gets flooded by the hurricane would be the graduate right here. Now, no offense to the woman who is handing her diploma, or as they call it in jail, their good enough degree, because Lie-lani has received her GED in jail. Let me tell you what, it pisses me off to no end that prisoners are treated better than our veterans. Over the last few weeks, a lot of people on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, have been posting pictures of back to school, first day of school, first day of fourth grade, first time on the bus, you name it. Look at the lunch pails. Look at the backpacks. Look at their new clothes. This little boy that is behind the chief's shoulder will never have a first day of school. Ever. Ever. How many of you, and I don't want to get into your business, how many of you have had to pay back student loans or are paying off student loans? I have a feeling a lot of you, or are paying off loans of your children's to go to school. And I'm all about higher education, whether it be college, trade school, you name it. GED, go ahead. Hand them out like popcorn in the jail, just like beefaroni. I don't care. But these college educations to murderers are damn disgusting. And I don't get it. Missy said me. Pointer Lover said me. Peach State Mama said I have $3 in college right now. Kiki said me. Juno helped my son pay off his student loans. My children went to the military to pay for theirs. They didn't want to spend years and years and years paying for student loans. Now, don't get me wrong. If someone's going to see the light of day, okay, let's say that they're going to be out in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Hey, give them a leg up in society. We don't need more bums. We don't need more bums. They were failed at home on some level, so get them an education. Sure. Something that they can sell themselves to an employer. But Lie-lani, 19 indictments, put her son in a dumpster. He was found in a landfill. See, Quinton will never have a picture like this. Even though Lie-lani's is in jail. He never will. It's never going to happen. Nope. Whatever happened to the days? I get that we have this softer, gentler society. Okay, I get it. That's the way some people want it. But what happened to the days of the chain gang, or inmates making license plates, or working on farms, or picking up trash on the highways? What happened to that? I think it's just damn sick. I can't figure it out. I honestly can't. I do have a job for Lie-lani if she's just looking to pass the time. Waste management, where Quinton went, they're always hiring.
Yeah. Just figure you have a shot at 0.1% of those. It's still pretty hefty. It is. Yeah, so good for you. All right. We have video on the site of Pamela Anderson that you must go see on legendary.com. She apparently is fun to hang out with after a few glasses of wine.
It looks like it. It looks like if you know her, or at least at her table, you get a lap dance.
No matter who you are. And the crowd she's hanging out with looks much more preppy than usual.
Yeah, looks like it could have been us.
Yeah.
You know, that's how low she's gone. That's how she's changed. Now it's just dudes in having sushi.
Yeah.
Hop in your lap.
She's at a sushi and wine restaurant, and of course she gets up and does some old school dancing with some guy, but she's still Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
And still looks pretty hot, at least through the window of the restaurant. And of course, TMZ, one of my favorites. You know, you can hear him giggling in the background and doing a little bit of play-by-play on one of the videos. There's another video where they've already edited it up and had their schmaltzy announcer guy.
That announcer guy, hey, you can have some too.
Yeah, he's the best. TMZ rocks my world. I'm sorry. Anytime that show's on TV, like late at night, there's been a couple of times, I think Fox runs it here in Dallas. A couple of times I was on my way to bed and the channel went across there. I went, oh, I can't. I got to watch now. The whole format of them sitting around their quote-unquote newsroom discussing stuff just amuses me. Because they're really not nice people.
They don't care.
They go up to people that are like C or D listers, you know, and try to bust their balls. You know, it's just a guy like leaving the package store, you know, with a, you know, bottle of rum in his thing, you know, and they're like, yeah, I buy liquor, so what?
Yeah, I like to see them get their ass beat every once in a while, like Will Smith.
Look at all of that trash. And we know what we throw away. Rotten food, diapers, feminine products, you name it. And that was Quinton Simon. That's where he went. That is where he went. To sum it up, there's little baby Quinton. Searchers found remains at the landfill on Friday. Police said search is now underway to determine whether the remains belong to Quinton. Well, we know now that they are. The working conditions were grueling and hazardous, and searchers knew that the chances of finding Quinton were low. Historically, the FBI says landfill searches are only successful 5% of the time. 5% of the time. We are indebted to the many law enforcement and public service agencies who assisted with this search, Jeff Hadley said. Put her out there. Glove up or shut up. Lie-lani, I'd have her scraping up roadkill. And I would have never posted that picture. Of the other people, sure. They're really in there for some pretty minor infractions if you really want to know the truth. In the scheme of things, well, next to Lie-lani. It is absolutely sickening. So we're going to go back through Quinton's case, beginning to where we are now. And don't forget, Lie-lani wants to go to college in there. Now, I understand some people say, well, she should better herself. What? So you're telling me she couldn't better herself when she was on the outside? She needs jail to do it? And what about Billy? Isn't Billy basically the matriarch of the family who runs everything, supports everyone? Not only did she not talk to her daughter about birth control, you're telling me she didn't even have the lady balls to tell the bitch to get up and go to school and graduate? Welcome to the family, Pointer Lover. Pointer Lover is back and is again a YouTube member. So when she got pregnant with her first child with some random dude, Billy didn't think to take her somewhere and get her on the pill, an IUD, whatever the going thing is for birth control now. Instead, she has Quinton, then she has Sky, all with like dudes that she barely knew. So Billy's got no issue with that. Like I said, can't even get the bitch out of bed to hit the school bus and go sit there for 6, 7, 8 hours and walk across the stage at the end of 12th grade. No. We have the system giving her a GED. Again, just me said, and all with drugs in their system. All with drugs in their system. Pinto said, like mother, like daughter. Like I said, GEDs, have at it. Because if they get out of jail, they're going to need one. Most of the time, and I can't speak for every state, so I'm only going to speak about the state that I really know the most about, and that's the one I live in, that's Oklahoma. When you're released from jail, they do make sure you have your high school education. And you have to check in with your probation officer, normally within 3 days of being released. And they normally give you a month to 3 months to find a JOB. Most places to have a JOB require at least a high school education, diploma. So I get it. I get that. I do. But this college bullshit's ridiculous. Have at it. Go to the law library. I can't even talk. I'm so pissed. Go to the law library and figure out how to help your attorneys. Sarah Boone style. Be the smartest person in the jail. I don't care. But I can't tell you how many people are busting their ass to pay off their educational loans. And then a murderer, allegedly, can just get one. And what is she going to do with it? Do you really think that an appellate court is going to disagree with a jury and say, oh, no, I don't think she killed Quinton? Or we really don't know what happened to Quinton. But I mean, it's plausible he could have crawled into the dumpster himself and drove the truck and jumped out and jumped into waste management. You really think anyone's going to say that? No. Mm-mm. Let's get to the comments. I put this on the community tab a few days ago, and you all had a lot to say. Lake Life Mama said, Georgia resident here with 3 daughters actively enrolled in college. I believe that paying for prisoners to get a college education when they are destined for a life in prison is an absolute waste of tax money. Just because you're incarcerated, you do not get a free education. They should not be rewarded for doing something wrong. My daughters had to work their butts off in school for every ounce of scholarships and grants they received. She killed her son. I say don't waste another ounce of her tax money on her. She's already getting free housing and free food. Anything else we can pile on for her? Now, like I said, don't get me wrong. If someone's going to see the light of day, like I said, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and they're eventually going to get out, teach them to work on a car. Teach them about, I don't know, a trade. You really think they're going to go work on Wall Street with their jail education? Just Cat said, didn't they take money out of the education budget to find Quinton? Yes, they did. $250,000, Cat. Great memory. Dolores said, nope. People charged with crimes against kids shouldn't be eligible for those types of programs. Christina, or as I call her, Madam Secretary. Does the state pay for inmates to go to college? Central Georgia Technical College is one of 3 colleges in Georgia to offer Pell Grants. It partners with 10 Georgia Department of Corrections facilities to provide credit programming. So this is for 2-year college tech programs. You have to qualify, she said, and if I'm guessing, if she's given life in prison, she won't. The grants are rewarded to people who can leave with a usable skill and benefit to society. And this is true. But it's 2 years, then 2 years, then 2 years. So they have to get through a 2-year program, then another 2-year program. And even if, and this isn't just Georgia, this is some other states too, even if they are given life in prison, as long as they are in the appeals process, they qualify. Yet some people start saving from the day their children are born for higher education. Beth said taxpayers' money shouldn't be spent on educating people who have not been convicted yet or those on a life or death sentence. Spend money educating inmates who could contribute to society when released. I agree. Aggie said she gets GED and college and her son got death. Make that make sense to me? Hell no, Aggie said. Thank you, Mama Bear. Member for 8 months. I don't get it, my friends. I just don't. Like I said, the GED doesn't really part my hair. It's a high school diploma. It's a high school diploma. I think it's damn disgusting that Billy, who claims to be this outstanding person and mother and hard worker, couldn't even pry Lie-lani out of bed to go to jail, to go to school. Gotta be kidding me. It gets me so damn fired up. Let's go through first what led up to not so much Quinton missing, but Quinton's alleged murder.
20 months old, Quinton Simon hasn't been seen for 60 hours. In those moments,
Now, this is an old clip, and as we know, he has been found. He was found. His remains were found in the waste management landfill. One report I read said over 2 million pounds of trash had to be sorted to find little Quinton. Pieces of him.
We have told you a lot about the search to find him, but to tell you about the environment he was living in, we have to back up weeks. September 7th, police were called to Quinton's grandparents' home, where Quinton, his mother, her boyfriend, 2 other children, and the grandparents live. There was a fight, this police report says, between Quinton's mom, Lie-lani Simon, and her mother, Billie Jo Howell. Lie-lani called the cops on her mom. When officers showed up, she told them she was on probation and didn't want trouble.
Okay, so right there, Mother of the Year, Billie Jo. Lie-lani is on probation. So she's already in trouble. You think it's a good time to sit her down and talk about the birds and the bees and say, hey, Lie-lani, I don't know if you've noticed, but those dudes you're picking up, they're not sticking it in your ear. So we need to talk about where babies come from. And since you're not going to curtail from that behavior, what we're going to do is we're going to get you on medication that presents an option to prevent another baby. And while we're at it, you're going to get your high school education.
We don't know what that probation is for. The report says when police officers talked with Lie-lani's brother, he told them that Quinton's mom had a history of stealing and used the money to buy drugs. A day later,
Go figure. Lie-lani had a history of stealing and using the money to buy drugs. Safe to say, some of those drugs were shared with Billy.
September 8th, Billy Jo Howell wanted her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend out. She filed for eviction. According to the document, she didn't want any money. She just wanted her 22-year-old daughter, Lie-lani, her boyfriend, Daniel Youngkin, and the 3 kids to leave.
Now, this has always been something really confusing to a lot of people. How could Billy evict Zane and Quinton when she had guardianship of them? You see, the state of Georgia was already in the middle of their asses. Already in the middle of it. Already said Lie-lani, Cat came up with that name, is unfit. So here comes Billy swinging the big dick around. This is her handwritten statement. Not looking to be compensated, just want them to move out as quick as possible. Lie-lani Simon is my daughter, 22 years old, with her boyfriend and 3 kids. They have damaged my property. And at this point, no one is living in peace. Again, she says, not looking to be compensated, just want them to move out as quick as possible. Signed, Billy Jo Howell. So you go to all of that trouble, but you don't take her to the health department and get her on birth control? You don't take her local library, Salvation Army, whatever, and get her a high school diploma? Billy is more trouble than she is worth.
Quickly, here's where the grandmother wrote it. They damaged her property, and no one is living in peace. September 16th, Lie-lani and Daniel found out about the eviction, but we now know as recently as last Wednesday, the 2 were still living here. That gets us to Wednesday, the morning little Quinton was last seen. At 5:29 a.m., babysitter Diana McCarta got a text message. She told us it was from Quinton's mom, saying Diana didn't have to watch the kids today. Police told us the boyfriend, who we now know is Daniel Youngkin, left for work at 6 a.m. Police say that's the last time Quinton was seen. 9 a.m., another text message to babysitter Diana, this time from a grandparent, asking if Diana had seen the toddler. The 911 call, 42 minutes later at 9:42 a.m. The WSAV Investigative Unit has asked Chatham County Police for that call. So far, they haven't answered our request. We know from the family, Lie-lani told police that Quinton's father took the child. The family said that story didn't make sense. And by 2:30 that afternoon, police said the father wasn't involved. By Wednesday night, the effort to find Quinton involved the FBI, 2 helicopters, a drone, police on horses, tracking dogs, and officers going door to door. Thursday, we watched federal agents search dumpsters, ditches, drain pipes, and the woods.
Disgusting. And many of her charges, indictments, whatever you want to call them, are for lying to the police. She was trying to tell people that Bubba, had Quinton. Bubba didn't have Quinton. Bubba barely knew Quinton. You see, old Billy and Lie-lani, when Lie-lani is done with the pogo stick, that pogo stick is not allowed to see their child. They keep them way, way, way away. Lie after lie after lie. And don't think Billy and the crew were not pissed when Diana spoke out and told Brett and other news agencies what transpired that morning. Again, sort of reminds me of the case with Summer Wells. Everyone is lying except Billy and Lie-lani. Everyone's lying. Bubba's a liar. Danny's a liar. Diana's a liar. Everyone's a liar except for the alleged murderer.
Meanwhile, we are learning more about how this morning played out with this family and the babysitter who was originally supposed to be at this home this morning. News 3 Brian Gallagher also here with me at this scene tonight with those details.
Thank you, Brett. Earlier tonight, I talked with the toddler's babysitter. She is sharing her concerns tonight. It's an interview you will only see on WSAV News 3.
I am been keeping Quinton and Zane for 6 months. I kept them yesterday, and they went home last night.
Diana.
Now, I never caught this before, or I did and I forgot I caught it. She's only been keeping Quinton and Zane, not baby Sky. Which tells me that Billy made sure to have somebody watch Zane and Quinton because, well, she had guardianship of them. But why not the baby?
Anna McCarta says she babysits little Quinton and his siblings and was supposed to watch them this morning. She says she was confused as to why plans would change so suddenly.
I got a text this morning saying that they would not be here. I would not be babysitting them at 5:29, which was kind of odd because I have them even when she doesn't work.
30 minutes later,
I have them even when she doesn't work. And of all mornings, the morning that Quinton winds up getting transported to the waste management landfill, Lie-lani does something which is kind of way out of the norm for her because it would be considered to be a considerate thing to do by telling Diana, I don't need you today. So, of course, the red flags were going off.
6 a.m. was the last reported sighting of Quinton, according to police. Diana says other family members asked her where Quinton might be.
And then I get a text at 9 o'clock saying, have I seen Quinton? I immediately go to their house. I try to help them look. They didn't want that. So I've just been waiting around like everybody else.
Diana and other neighbors are shocked by the news and wonder what could have happened to little Quinton.
My heart is broken. I'm not his mother, I'm not his family, but I love him very much. And I just don't know what could happen. The police did a really good job of looking. And where does a 1-year-old go? They've covered a lot of ground.
She is so right. They have covered a lot of ground. Where does a 1-year-old go? We've heard it in other cases. Summer Wells, Gannon Stout. How far can they get? They're covering all of this territory. How far can a little child get?
Just don't know what could happen. The police did a really good job of looking. And where does a 1-year-old go? They've covered a lot of ground.
Again, we will continue to update you with the latest developments online and tomorrow on WSAV News 3 Today. In Chatham County, Brian Gallagher, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Don't think Billy was not pissed. And she found out that Diana was talking to the news. Because you can see her right here. That jaw is grinding. She looks like she could spit nails. She's so mad. Pale says, when does this trial start? I do not know. I don't believe it's even been set yet. And I know a lot of people are very compassionate towards Tommy. I am not. Because guess what? It's his house. This went on in his house. Since when is the man of the house not the man of the house? You're telling me he couldn't tell Billy, get Lie-lani and Danny the hell out of here. We keep the kids. You already have guardianship. Get them the hell out of here. You've already been told she's unfit. If she's unfit to be around her own flesh and blood, what do you think she's going to do to us? I don't want her around here. Sorry, Tommy, you get an epic fail in this story too.
Both left right then. I got here about 3 o'clock yesterday,
and I got here about 3:30 in the morning.
It's been crazy. I mean, we don't know nothing. Whether it's the answers we want to hear or answers we don't want to hear, we just want to know something. My concern is,
Tommy, you already know something. Answers we don't want to hear. You already know something. She lives with you. She eats your food. She takes your money to go buy drugs. She uses your truck. Gotta be kidding me. How does Tommy not know what's going on in his own home? Well, he picked Billy. Need I say more?
it's him, and that's all it is. I mean, we concerned with his well-being.
I know everybody worked really hard yesterday, but
And
I want them to keep working hard.
And we appreciate everything that everybody has done, all the people that's come out and searched for him and all that. And he's always smiling. He's a happy kid. I mean, you get some kids but he always had a big smile on his face, and he was always happy.
Let me ask you, why are you getting emotional?
Because he's not here. He's just a baby.
Because I fucked up. And I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble by the authorities because I have permanent guardianship over Quinton and Zane. And Quinton went missing while I was out of town, and they were with their mother, who the state of Georgia says is unfit. I'm helping her out.
I don't want him home. He's just a baby. Lie-lani's my daughter. She's 22. She hasn't always done the right things. Sometimes she does really great, and sometimes she doesn't.
Sometimes she does really great, and sometimes she doesn't. So for someone that sometimes you got a 50-50, and she's already been said to be unfit by the state of Georgia. So you roll the dice on sometimes not doing really good with Quinton and Zane, who you have guardianship over? Sonia said, I strongly believe Billy knew what had happened to Quinton in the beginning. Me too. Me too. I've always wondered who gave Lie-lani the idea to go put him in the dumpster. She's one of the laziest people that has ever walked this planet.
And I don't know what to think right now. I don't know what to believe
mean,
because I don't think anybody ever believes that this is going to happen to them. I don't know if I can trust her or if I don't.
I don't know if I can trust her. Then why did you allow her to be with Quinton and Zane? These are Billy's words, not mine. Your most precious, the most precious thing in your home, your grandbabies, that the state of Georgia has already said are in danger around Lie-lani. And of course, people are going to scream, well, why didn't CPS do something? They're not the police. Why didn't Billy do something? Why didn't Tommy do something? Why didn't, when Tommy get home from work, say, what the hell is she doing laying on the couch, Danny all strung out? Get him out of here.
I mean,
I just know I'm hurting, and I want this baby home.
We want
He's my
answers, and
baby.
we don't have answers.
Just
No,
thank
not
you
right
to
now.
everybody
Yeah,
that's helped.
thank you for everybody that's looked for him,
and please don't stop looking.
yeah, like I say, we want answers. We want to find him. That's the answer we want. Is somebody found him. You know, we're still hoping and praying, and we wish everybody to pray for him. Pray for us.
Yes.
Billy says, just don't stop looking. Just don't stop looking. But when she was told by the authorities that they had every reason to believe that Quinton was in the landfill, she messages an internet stranger and says, Quinton has passed. Huh? That's really not the word I would use. Quinton has passed. Hello, Mama She. Thank you for the super sticker. Late as usual. Nope, you're always on time, my friend. So glad you're here. Lily said, notice she doesn't wipe away any tears. It's kind of one of those, she's crying for herself. Because Billy does have some street smarts. And she knows that she could be in trouble for this. She does. I don't know that Tommy is realizing it. But Billy knows. Hence why she decided to walk down the street and accost Diana.
Don't put nothing in your yard. This is my baby, not yours. That's your right, that's my baby. I touched you and I told you I was my baby. I'm pronounced my property. You go get it. Now you get off the property. I text you. I asked you over and over. I got the text. Over and over I asked you. So you want to blame me? I don't care about your text. You think I'm going to hit you at me? Do you think I would do that? Yeah. Really? Because you are... I'm what? No one likes you. I'm what? I'm what? No, I don't like anybody. I should not have been out of town. You did. You shouldn't have. No, I'm not trying to provide. I did. I was trying to provide. I told you. I was trying to provide. I even provided for you. You didn't. Yeah.
I was providing for you. You paid her to babysit. And you weren't even paying her that much. You could have put the kids in daycare. I was providing for you. No, she was doing a job for you, Billy.
No, I'm not trying to provide. I did. I was trying to provide. I told you. I was trying to provide. I even provided for you. You didn't.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I didn't pay for your family, your entire family.
I didn't ask you.
Your entire family. Keep recording.
Don't take my phone.
Keep recording.
Don't take my phone.
Good, you were wrong. You were wrong.
Diana's a nicer person than me. Because if she came in there raising hell with me like that, I'd have called 911. They would have picked her up. And if she tried to take my child's phone that I'm assuming Diana pays for, she would have been in huge trouble for trying to lay hands on my child. Lone Wolf, thank you for the super sticker. Lone Wolf said a life sentence is 25 years and then parole hearings start unless it's stated life without parole or natural life. A murderer could walk free. Well, I'm just hoping that the powers that be in Georgia, when all the evidence is laid out, don't give her that benefit.
Your entire family, keep recording.
Don't take my phone.
Keep recording.
You hear the girl saying, don't take my phone. So she gets in that girl's face. Wouldn't happen in my yard.
Don't take my phone.
Good, you were wrong. You were wrong. I begged you to help. I begged you to help. Put that on social media.
I begged you to help. You paid her. You also said that Lie-lani deserves a chance to be a mother to her children. The problem with that is, Billy, you don't get to make that call. You see, the state of Georgia already said she was unfit.
I begged you to help.
Oh, yeah, and
I begged you to help.
I
said, hey, Michelle, please get the kids.
You're a liar.
Take them. I'll give you
Are you
300
a liar?
a week.
Well, I'm about to put it
I'm
all
a liar.
over. I'm about to put it all over.
Good. Good,
All
because
over.
you're awful to say you're going to put a memorial. My baby's not dead.
You are a liar.
My baby's not dead. My baby's not dead.
Well, he's not your baby. He's your grandson. And if you were that concerned, you wouldn't have taken that job out of town. You would have gone to work locally, gotten home, but you didn't want to do that, Billy.
Liar. You're a liar.
No, you are.
You are.
My baby's not dead. I thought you was a woman of
say
God.
that.
I thought you were a woman of God. You got Quinton? Do you have Quinton?
I don't have Quinton. You're the one
Maybe
who
you
said
do.
to me.
Maybe you do. You got him.
Okay.
You got him.
Well, I'm about to call the police.
You're the only one that can go in my house and take him. Your kids go in my house and take him all the time.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We did not go in her house.
Oh, it's gonna be. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, maybe we need to look at the green card. Yeah, we did.
And that poor girl going, we didn't go in their house. We didn't take Quinton. Yeah, the police would have been right there. Right there.
It's gonna be. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, maybe we need to look at the green card. Yeah, we did. We did. She's gonna put a memorial up in her yard. Quinton's not dead. I didn't put a memorial. He's not dead. No one said he was.
She was going to put a memorial up in the yard. He's not dead. She was going to do a prayer circle and hand out flyers. But when people were setting up a memorial outside of Billy's house, she lapped up the attention. Loved it. And I still cannot believe the people that were celebrating Billy for what she did. They're like, good for her. Good for her. So you're telling me that she has no fire in the gun to protect her grandchildren, which she had guardianship of. But she's going to go down and beat up on the babysitter and bitch at her about water park tickets? Come on. Then her and Lie-lani get into it in the backyard.
Nearly 48 hours since a Chatham County toddler went missing, and tonight there is no active search that we're aware of right now, but investigators are still working to find Quinton Simon.
Earlier today, more than 75 officers, including the FBI, joined the search near his home in West Chatham County. Our team has been at the home where he was last seen speaking with family members and neighbors. The family told us the boy's mother and her boyfriend were released after hours of questioning by police.
The Chatham County Police cannot comment on who may have been interviewed, but tell us they are still treating this as a missing child case, and instead of a broad search, are now focusing their efforts on targeted areas. WSAV's Brian Gallagher has been gathering details all evening and has an update on Quinton's mother and her boyfriend tonight. Brian?
Yeah, that's right, Ben. For all of yesterday and most of today, the whereabouts of Quinton's mother and her boyfriend have been in question. Well, tonight we're learning that the neighbors witnessed the mother and her boyfriend at their house all throughout the day. Now, neighbors claim that the two finished being interrogated by law enforcement.
And again, Tommy, it's your house. It's your pool. It's your RV, your driveway, your yard. So as you have all of this suspicion around Lie-lani and Danny, they're still at the house. They're still around Sky and Zane. Neither Billy or Tommy took their candy asses down to the courthouse and got emergency protective custody, guardianship, however you phrase it, of Sky, and got Lie-lani and Danny out of the house. His friends in Hotlanta would have come and picked him up. His mama in North Carolina would have come and picked him up. And who cares where Lie-lani goes? She's too scared to run.
Very early this morning, and then later that morning, neighbors say grandparents came by. Now, with Quinton missing for nearly 48 hours, tensions were running high in the family, and that's when things started to get heated. Neighbors say they heard several arguments all throughout the day. I was on scene a little after 6 p.m. tonight, where I heard another scuffle break out from across the street.
And there's Lie-lani yelling, "Leave me alone. My kid is gone." Leave me alone. Then you hear a man's voice. I don't know if it's Danny, Tommy, Paul. I have no idea who it is. Telling them to quit their shit. Again, I would have called 911. Get Lie-lani out of here.
Chatham County Police is asking residents to turn on their Twitter notifications, which is where the latest updates are coming from. Neighbors and family members are hoping for answers as it's closing in on hour 48 of Quinton's disappearance. In Chatham County, Brian Gallagher, WSAV News 3.
Sick. And now again, Lie-lani gets her GED and qualifies for college programs while in the pokey. She does. Disgusting. Billy, who loves to be the victim, she wants everyone to look at her as the grieving grandmother. Well, this is just a snippet of a document that says the maternal grandmother has permanent guardianship as to the child Zane, pursuant to documents from the Juvenile Court of Burke County. The maternal grandmother failed to provide adequate supervision for the child Zane by leaving the child Zane in the home in the care of the mother, a person the maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit to provide proper care. while the maternal grandmother traveled out of state. So this was the ruling for her to lose what rights she had to Zane. But don't get me wrong. She went panel hopping to get money to supposedly get Zane and Sky back. That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. And with all of this going on, instead of holding Lie-lani accountable, she takes her out to Tybee Island to tie one on.
Well, today marks 2 weeks since Savannah toddler Quinton Simon was reported missing, as investigators continue to search a Chatham County landfill for his body. Now, we've learned new information about the whereabouts of his mother, the prime suspect in this case.
Brooke Butler reporting from the nearby command center. She has new insight tonight about where the prime suspect's mother, Lie-lani, was recently seen.
We want justice for Quinton, just like everybody else.
As investigators wrapped up their first official day of searching at this Chatham County landfill, Quinton's mother, Lie-lani, and grandmother, Billy Jo Howell, were spotted miles away on Tybee Island. The host of a popular bar and restaurant tells me they were taking shots at their establishment and being, quote, very loud.
Very loud, taking shots. It was rumored that a phone number was given to one of the waiters. Really? You want to give her baby number 4? What's your first date gonna be? Oh, this is the dumpster I went to visit the morning that my son disappeared.
This just hours after police announced they believe Quinton's body was thrown away like trash.
We believe that he was placed in a specific dumpster at a specific location, and it was brought here by regular means of disposal.
The mother and daughter were spotted again Wednesday morning at a Tybee Island motel. Police confirmed with WJCL they were called to Sandcastle Inn twice over people, quote, exercising their First Amendment rights and shouting at the motel. They say no arrests were made and no police report was filed, but a woman who identified herself as Billy Jo told officers she would be leaving and wouldn't come back.
Oh, God forbid. Shut the island down, why don't you? Billy said, I'm going to be leaving and never coming back. Oh, anytime, Justin. Justin said, about to drive, or I would otherwise. Okay. Anytime, Justin, because Justin has done amazing work on this case. Big respect for our friend Justin. Again, rope off the island. Billy, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back.
They were called to Sandcastle Inn twice over people, quote, exercising their First Amendment rights and shouting at the motel. They say no arrests were made and no police report was filed, but a woman who identified herself as Billy Jo told officers she would be leaving and wouldn't come back. When we were there at around 1 in the afternoon, there was no sign of the two. But police don't believe Lie-lani's a flight risk. As for why she hasn't been arrested yet,
Because we're not ready to charge anyone yet. We still have work to do. We still have an investigation to do, and we are not going to do anything preemptively that would harm future prosecution.
Now, it could take in.
We're not going to do anything to harm future prosecution. There's a big argument in another case, the Summer Wells case, where people are like, well, if nobody's been arrested, well, that's not how it works. It takes a long time to convince a DA to put their career and their law license on the line to go in front of a jury and present a case.
Yet.
Because we're not ready to charge anyone yet. We still have work to do. We still have an investigation to do, and we are not going to do anything preemptively that would harm future prosecution.
Now, it could take investigators days, weeks, even months to find Quinton Simon's remains, but they're determined to do so he can get the final resting place he deserves. Reporting in Chatham County, I'm Brooke Butler, WJCL 22 News.
But of course, even when they found Quinton's body, remains, the lies continued. This is what Billy shared with another creator. She tried to claim that that little box with the American flag on it at the FBI, she said, "My baby Quinton, sweet monkey do Simon." The creator said, "Oh, that's him." She said, "Yes, it's my baby Quinton." As of today, his remains have not been released. Lie after lie after lie. And even though they didn't need a grand jury's indictment, they still got one. They wanted ironclad. What a sick ass thing to do. You know? How damn disgusting. And not every state uses a grand jury. Some states, that's all they use. They want a grand jury indictment for everything. Some very rarely use it. Well, in this case, they went to a grand jury.
Chatham County grand jury indicted Lie-lani Simon with 19 counts in the disappearance and death of her son, Quinton Simon.
The 21-year-old went missing 70 days ago. This happened in October. And our Andy Cole takes us through the evidence prosecutors say points to his mother as the accused killer.
On Wednesday, Chatham County's District Attorney, Shalina Cook-Jones, announced a grand jury indicted 23-year-old Lie-lani Simon on 19 different counts for the death of her toddler son, Quinton Simon.
By the way, I think this DA is a badass. She seemed a little nervous addressing the public. It's not really something that DAs do all the time. They kind of have the chief of police for that. But I just thought she was a badass. And from what she said in the press conference, we could easily put it together. She did not want to move forward with the case, arrest, or anything until some remnant of Quinton was found.
These are the cases that keep us up at night. These are the cases that deserve justice.
The 8-page indictment says that on October 5th, the day Quinton was reported missing, Lie-lani Simon intentionally beat little Quinton with an object, ultimately killing him. From the beginning of the investigation, the indictment says Lie-lani lied to investigators time and time again. Lie-lani first lied when she implied to investigators that Quinton had been abducted. Lie-lani later lied and said she went to a Chatham County trailer park early on October 5th to meet a friend. In the indictment, Lie-lani did admit to dumping something at the trailer park, but she lied and said she was throwing away household garbage. According to the indictment, she actually threw...
They had a damn trash can outside. But Lie-lazi, who does no housework, decided to drive to the trailer park to throw away household garbage. And anyone is supposed to believe that? Get real. She didn't even pick up her Cheeto bag.
Quinton had been abducted. Lie-lani later lied and said she went to a Chatham County trailer park early on October 5th to meet a friend. In the indictment, Lie-lani did admit to dumping something at the trailer park, but she lied and said she was throwing away household garbage. According to the indictment, she actually threw Quinton's body into one of these dumpsters, just like trash. Court documents say Lie-lani told investigators she doesn't remember that. 23-year-old Simon tried to blame her then-boyfriend Daniel Youngkin. The indictment says she lied, saying Daniel left their Buckhalter Road home that October morning. Just a day before Quinton was allegedly killed, the indictment says Lie-lani met with her drug dealer. She told investigators she was paying off a drug debt, but that too was a lie.
Paying off a drug debt, met with the drug dealer, you name it. You name it. And all of this is going on in Billy and Tommy's home. And you know what they did about it? Nothing.
The indictment says Lie-lani met with her drug dealer. She told investigators she was paying off a drug debt, but that too was a lie. According to the indictment, she later lied about being high on an unidentified drug on October 4th, just hours before Quinton's death. District Attorney Cook Jones is confident in the charges because of the tireless work of local and federal investigators.
These men and women worked very long hours, turning shifts for 6 weeks straight, working tirelessly and would not quit until Quinton's body was found. Were it not for their tireless efforts, we would not have been able to take the first step on the long road to justice as we have today.
Because she wanted them to find Quinton. Or as we know, pieces of him. Let's talk about the search for a minute. I'm going to put the link up again. A lot of people had issues with the search and with the searchers. I did not. I didn't have any issue with them going home at the end of the day or back to the hotel. I didn't have any issue with them shutting down for a tropical storm. I didn't have any issue with them taking a weekend off because they're in a very toxic environment. Dangerous, and searchers are exposed to numerous and very real health and safety hazards. Every minute that they are working to help maintain the health of the search team, they will be standing down for 2 days after their landfill shift ends late this afternoon. People came unglued. Why aren't they still searching? Because it's a toxic, cancerous environment. We spoke about another landfill search, and this was in Utah. And one of the searchers, to this day, and it's been over 20 years, has a blood-borne pathogen from being in that landfill. Well, hello, Detective John. How are you?
Splendid. How are you?
Good. What do you think about Lie-lani going to college, my friend?
Hold on a second. Let me get out of. I got you up here twice, so you're echoing. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Can you hear me?
What do you think about? Yeah, you don't want to hear two of me. What do you think about Lie-lani going to college?
Yeah, on our dime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty sickening, isn't it? You know, this whole case is people will point a finger at the parents. Of course, you know, the mom and the grandparents are definitely liable here for this death and this homicide. But there was an investigation, and here's the problem. And I'll tell a quick story. We call it DCF here. It's called CPS up there, but in Florida it's DCF. And
where are you at?
I'm in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Oh, okay. Are you in the way of the hurricane, or is the
Yeah,
hurricane
that's why I'm sitting. That's why I'm sitting at home right now instead of at work. So
be safe.
Yeah, we're catching the outer bands, and it's hairy at times, but we're used to it down here. You know, it's moving pretty quick, so if it gets past us, we'll be in good shape. So I'm on the East Coast. That's over there on the West Coast, up by the Panhandle. But the outer bands, because it's a counterclockwise rotation, they're the most dangerous part of the storm. So those outer bands are where all the tornadoes and everything else gets spawned. So we're good. Thank you for asking. But there was an I don't know a whole lot about this case, but at some point you might be able to enlighten me. But at some point, CPS was notified for whatever reason. They opened up an investigation, right? So they took custody of the little guy and gave it to grandma, correct?
Yep, the two older ones, Zane and Quinton.
Zane and Quinton. So what's important to know about these cases is Child Protective Services needs to follow up. They need to do welfare checks constantly on situations like this, because now you have a child that's been taken from its bio mom and given to the grandma who's already raised her kids. So she's got her own life. She's probably not anticipating having to take care of a toddler, which is a lot of work. Two toddlers. How old were they? I know, again, I don't know everything about this case, but
20 months and almost 4.
Right. Well, that's a lot of work for a grandma. I'm not justifying anything. I'm just saying she probably didn't anticipate ever having to do that. And how old was mom?
Lie-lani was 22 at the time.
So basically babies having babies.
Yep.
So I people will disagree with me. Inevitably, she did this and yada, yada, yada. But had CPS done their job and actually followed up and done this the right way, I'm sure if we were to look at the investigation that they did, we'd see a lot of holes in that investigation, a lot of laziness. I had a case one time where I get a call and I was working in the liaison arena where we're trying to bridge gaps between the minority community housing projects. So they would put us in there and we'd have our own office within the housing, projects. And I get a call one day and there's a 2-year-old, and it gets cold down here. It was January and it was one of our colder winters. It was 30 degrees and 2-year-olds running around, in the projects, walking through broken glass with nothing but a diaper on and an extremely runny nose. So I get him, I bring him into the office, do a little investigation, find out where he was supposed to be, go knock on the door. Mom's addicted to crack. I go inside, walk around, I hook her up because I see an open view, a crack pipe. So I hook her up. And while we're there, I went into the refrigerator. The only thing she had in there was curdled milk and a box of Cheerios. So moral of the story is I wait for DCF. We called it DCF here to get there. I waited over 4 hours for them to respond to take custody of this child. They respond only to go. Now you have to picture a housing project. This one was South Street Project in Daytona. And it was set up at the time. It's been rebuilt since, but it was apartment buildings in essence is what it was. And mom lived in this apartment building, and upstairs in the corner apartment was grandma. So all this time, this toddler's running around and grandma's right there. She knows what's going on. But DCF comes, does a little investigation, knocks on the door, finds out, well, grandma's here. Okay, grandma will take him. Mom bonds out of jail. Grandma gives him back. No investigation is followed up on. 3 weeks later, I get a call there. Mom didn't have sheets in the crib on the mattress, and she put a trash bag over the mattress with a blanket so that when he urinated, it wouldn't ruin the mattress. He suffocated in that bag.
Oh,
I'll never forget that case. And I blame DCF because they didn't do their job. So that's what I would like to see. I would like to see the investigation that CPS did. I would like to see every piece of documentation that they did, because they need to be held accountable for not doing their job, because there's no way that this should have happened.
Oh,
it sounds like there was a court order. I don't know this for a fact, so correct me if I'm wrong. Was there a court order that she was given custody, grandma?
permanent guardianship of Zane and
So
Quinton.
was mom supposed to have contact with that child?
That I do not know. I know that after Quinton went missing, Billy lost her rights to Zane. I'll put it on the screen because the judge said the maternal grandmother failed to provide adequate supervision for the child Zane by leaving the child Zane in the home in the care of the mother, a person the maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit to provide proper care while the maternal grandmother traveled out of state. And so my question is, at what point, because people have rights in their own home.
Right.
So CPS, they're not law enforcement. So if they go to the door, knock, 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 we're just here to do a follow-up and no one's home, and they have all these other cases they have to follow up on, or like you described, they need to be at the police station to check on another child. How do they juggle all that? I don't know. I'm not a social worker. I have a couple of friends that are social workers, and they're all over the place.
Well, we do have, they do have a staffing issue. They don't, but when you're conducting an investigation on a juvenile and there's a court order and CPS will go there and they can walk right in the house.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need a search warrant. They don't need anything. So because they're acting in good faith, they're there for the child. So, and if that's stopped, then they can notify law enforcement. Law enforcement can come and, do what they need to do to get in. But when you're acting in good faith and you're conducting an investigation for a child, you don't need a warrant. They don't need a warrant because there's current investigation going on. There's already been a judgment made by a judge. So, they usually try to schedule it, but they do pop in, and that's the way it should be. It should be unannounced. It should be an element of surprise. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't be prepared. I'm sorry. Yes, you have rights in your home, but we're talking about a child.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, it looks like, just looking at the picture, it reminded me so much of that case. I mean, that picture that you showed, if you can pull that picture up of him standing there with a runny nose, that's exactly what I encountered that day in 30-degree weather with a child walking around a dumpster with broken glass, shards of glass stuck in his feet. And I call DCF and wait 4 hours for them to get there, only for them to just simply walk upstairs and give the child to grandma, who any prudent person would determine had to know this was going on.
You would think.
And you would think. And I'm disgusted with the system when it comes to that, and they're busy. I get it, but the common sense has to be, they need to be trained better because they're not really investigators. They need to actually investigate these cases and look at the background and look at the dynamic of the home structure, because clearly someone dropped the ball here, and she wasn't supposed to be in the custody of the irresponsible mother, or he wasn't, and now he's gone. And found
in a landfill.
Right. And again, I don't know everything about this. So the interview and interrogation, did she confess? Did she say what she did?
Nope.
So she's getting a college education in prison now.
She just got her GED, and she's, grinning ear to ear, which a GED I get, because if somebody gets out, they at least need to have a high school diploma.
Right.
But the 19 indictments and
this hasn't gone to trial yet, I take it.
No, we don't even have a trial date yet. And the malice, murder, forethought. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. But again, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. People will disagree, but They just didn't do their job. The system failed this child. 100% failed this child. You know, if
Well,
there,
and
there's
so
some
did Billy,
accountability,
and so did the murderous mother. Now, let me ask you this. When a social worker, and I know you're not a social worker, but you have to deal with them.
Yeah.
When they go to a home with a nice swimming pool, a nice manicured lawn, the kids have lots of toys. Do you think that's on their radar to keep checking on them, or do they go to more high risk homes?
Yeah, that's, you know,
Social economics.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You look at things like that. I mean, you look at, again, the dynamic of the situation and the structure of the home, and those are all things that you want to look at. I mean, but Casey Anthony, you know, prime example. You go to that house, and it was a nice house and had a pool. I believe Casey Anthony. I believe that she fell asleep because she was partying all night, and the baby went out and jumped in the pool and drowned. And I think she freaked out. That's my theory. I think she freaked out, didn't know what to do, and concocted this huge lie because she was asleep, because she was out partying, because that's what she wanted to do. She didn't want to be a mom all the time. That's my theory on that. And it's, you know, I don't know what happened here. Something similar could happen. She could have not been paying attention to the little guy, and he ran out, jumped in the pool, and drowned. Or
Well, now the FBI drained the pool because that was the first assumption. That was one of the first stories they came up with. They had several different stories.
Right.
But one of the earlier reports is he was beaten with an object.
So the autopsy revealed that he was beaten. They recovered him in a landfill, I guess. I'm sorry, guys. I'm ignorant on this case.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I just kind of chimed in because I was bored today and caught your show, and I know you've been on my show. So, yeah, I mean, it's would it reveal head trauma or?
Well, no, we haven't gotten that far yet because, as you know, the police don't like to tell the general public what they know.
Right.
So basically, we're going off of, you know, what the documents say.
So we're speculating.
Cat has, well, I mean, this is the probable cause affidavit.
Gotcha.
Kat has a question. Thank you for the super sticker. She said, why is it always CPS that is blamed, or the school, or anyone else other than the people that murdered the child?
No, that's not what I said. I said that clearly that's the case. It's CPS. I'm not blame on it. Just clearly, you know, when something like this happens and it's egregious enough to take a child away from their bio parent, and there's a propensity that what happened is going to happen, which is they're really not going to be away from the bio parent. An investigation would have revealed that just in conversation with grandma and mom. Excuse me. And I'm not saying that to blame the schools or to blame anyone, but, you know, if you follow up and you do what you're supposed to do, then there's accountability. Excuse me. And we don't have any accountability today. And when grandma takes custody of that child, you know, she's accountable at some point. And, you know, it was obviously clear that the child was not supposed to be with mom. So how did that happen? You know, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I can tell you, and your last, you know, the comment that was just made, I've been there. I've seen it. They're understaffed, yes, but there's a lot of laziness in those departments. They pencil whip it. Okay, we gave the child to grandma. Kid's fine. We'll follow up later. There was much more to this case. I don't know why. Does it say why he was taken away?
Well, one of the first babysitters was on the show back in October of 2022. And I believe it was his mother, I'd have to go through the show again, that called DFACS, as they call it in Georgia, because there were so many diapers piled up. They didn't have any baby wipes. They only had paper towels. Lie-lani would disappear for like days at a time. She was breaking into trailers and stealing like jars of coins and shit. But
Right.
there was so many diapers in this trash can, they had maggots in it.
She a meth addict?
I think Lie-lani would do anything she could get her hands on. And the thing is, going back to your argument, not really an argument, discussion, had they done their due diligence, Billy would not have had the kids because she lost custody of her children years prior.
My point exactly. So at what point should the state have stepped in and said, hey, we need to put the child in foster care, excuse me, and do an investigation until we can find out where and if we should place this child or arrange an adoption? Because clearly, I mean, watching the video of this lady, she's pretty unstable. I mean, it's, it's probably not a great atmosphere for him. I mean, look at her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She dropped the ball there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's, there's clearly an issue within the whole dynamic of the family. So a good investigation, in my opinion, would have yielded that, it's not a great idea to place this child with grandma. Maybe we need to find some foster parents that'll love and nurture this child and if they are looking for an opportunity to adopt. He's a cute kid. He was a cute kid. And that's sad. But, for the person that made the comment, implying that I'm blaming. Yeah, I am blaming because the system failed this child. Mom is 100% culpable. Grandma's culpable. But if the system that we all pay for
Mm-hmm.
had done their job and you had a seasoned investigator that actually knew what they were doing, he would be alive today. And I've met some really good Department of Children and Families, we call it down here, workers. And I've met some very, very, very lazy work. The one that came, the situation that I told you about, the local DCF worker was on vacation, so they had to bring another one she drove from Jacksonville down here. I had to wait 4 hours for her. She rolled up in her brand new 325 BMW, literally walked up. I've been sitting there for hours playing with this little guy. She walks over to the building, knocks on a couple doors, walks upstairs to grandma, comes and grabs the child, walks the child over, picks him up, hands him to grandma. We're done. Now, grandma watches, she has to see what's going on every day. Her daughter lives right downstairs in the apartment below her. She has to know that this child's running around in its bare feet with shards of glass in its feet. She had to know that there was no sheets on the bed and that her daughter's a crack addict. So the same type of situation here, probably not as extreme, but I just feel like there needs to be more training for them. And, there are plenty of people out there that will take children in. Plenty. There's a plethora of them. They love it. They will take these kids in, and, there's a lot of Christian families out there that do it out of the goodness of their hearts. And it's just a simple, process. And I just
look at all the people that can't have children and would do anything to have a child.
You're right. But the problem is our system makes it so hard for us to adopt our own children here in the States that people have to go to Russia and China
Mm-hmm.
and other nations to adopt children when we have hundreds of thousands of children that need adopted right here in the States. But because of our litigious system, it's so difficult to do that they go online and find a child in Russia and adopt it and bring it over here. Like that. Bam, done. You know, we as a society have to work on that stuff. You know, we need legislation. We need legislation out there to change these laws.
I'm so glad you said that because I mean, I'm bad about it. I don't pay attention half the time to who I vote for locally.
Right. And you do need to research. And, you know, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter to me. I vote for the person, the character. And, you know, I don't get into the dirty politics that you see today, you know.
No.
But you need to, you know, vet the people that you vote for. Ask the tough questions. And that's not being done. So people pencil with this stuff, and just to get on to the next case, these investigators, and you know, I can't even really call them investigators because they're really not. They're not doing investigations. I was devastated, literally cried. I went to his funeral. I was devastated when I had to go to that call. I didn't get the call. I responded to the call when they found him in his crib, in the corner of his crib, sucked into a trash bag. He suffocated.
Oh,
you know, it was unbelievable. And for that, social worker from Child Protective Services to come in and just do that and do a paragraph on a incident report that was submitted. It was horrible. You know, mom bonded out. You know, she was right back in the apartment, and grandma, she didn't want to deal with it. She had like 8 kids. So, I mean, yes, I am putting blame on them. Sorry. I mean, that's just the way I feel, because
well, in a situation like this, there's a lot of blame to go around.
Right.
And when you're talking about social work, they're not investigators. We have another case in Tennessee, Summer Wells.
No.
And there is a father of someone that knew Candace Wells. And when he called to file a report about something that he believed to have happened to his son, he was told to call CPS in Tennessee. Well, you're reporting a crime against a child.
Right.
I have a huge problem with that.
Well, yeah, at some point, state attorney's office should have been involved, and you know, child abuse, neglect, or some sort of state statute should have been implemented, and charges should have been filed. Then an investigation is done by law enforcement.
Right.
So, but at some point when it comes to, you know, we have to break away from you know, what inevitably happens to the children, and then they get involved, DCF or whatever you want to call it, whatever state. They are not investigators. They can pull and they can take children away, but they need to be, you know, more diligent, more assertive, you know, pull that trigger quicker, because these kids, they can't tell stories. You know, they're kids. So, you know, you can sit them down and you can talk to them and do everything. But you only, in a lot of states, you only have one shot with a juvenile, because at some point it becomes manipulation when you're interviewing a child. So you really only get one shot on an interview with the juvenile. And courts don't like multiple interviews. They want to see one interview. The first one is usually the one they want, because that's where the truth lies. And with children, because then when they start to construct the answers, and then they start to think that they need to defend their parents, they start constructing answers and fabricating stuff and lying. But yeah, I mean, it's
just a crazy world we live in. And like you said, there's no accountability. We obviously have systematic failures. We have a moral fiber that was broken, decades ago.
We're sending billions of dollars to foreign countries, and we have these problems right here on our own.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there should be multiple DCF workers, and they should be, seasoned investigators, and you shouldn't be able to just have one worker go on a case, make a decision, send it to a supervisor for him to sign off on it without the supervisor showing up and assessing the situation and either concurring with the investigator or saying, no, we need to do more. So, and it does happen sometimes, but as a whole, in our country, children aren't protected. It's almost like they don't even care. It's like they're kicking a dead horse. So until we as a society decide that we're over this, and we need to stop sending these billions and billions of dollars to other countries and start taking care of our own first. I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel. People will hate me for it.
No, that's the way I feel too. I mean, if they put out a ballot, and said, hey, on Tuesday, we're going to vote about sending $2 billion to the Ukraine, guess who would be first in line to say, fuck no?
Hell
Me.
no. Absolutely. Me too.
I'm not doing that.
But why are we doing it?
We have no freaking say.
Because we have ulterior motives. That's why. We want what they have, which is energy. We want to control that. Sorry, it's the truth, people.
It is. But we have our own that they don't want to use.
So we as a society, we can't delegate funds for stuff like this, yet we can just sign off on billions and billions of dollars to send to a country that doesn't care about us. They don't care about America.
No.
They don't care about our problems.
They don't give a shit.
They don't care. But you know what? They love that money. They'll patronize the hell out of whoever's in office. You're the greatest man in office ever. Thank you for my $2 billion.
Sinclair
we
said,
have children dying, and we have people, laying underneath. I was just in Tennessee recently because I play a lot of ball, and we were up there for a tournament, and we're in the Knoxville area, and I'm driving through town, and there are people laying on the side of the streets naked, no clothes on.
Naked? What?
And it's insane to me. No one is doing anything. People don't know. Las Vegas. You go outside of the strip of Las Vegas, the same thing. It's insane. People are they're hiding this stuff. I mean, we have got to do something. I mean, I don't mean to get political, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a full circle. Everything comes back around to politics and money. And for us to have one DCF or two DCF workers for a district is insane. It's got to be, something's got to change. This child should be alive. Somebody called. Who called DCF? Do you know? Our CPS.
Well, Diana said she did. I don't know. Because like I said, I don't know these people. The first babysitter, Jalen, his mother did about the maggots in the diapers. Lie-lani not paying for babysitting, stuff like that. Obviously, a call was made because Lie-lani her mother, Billy, was given permanent guardianship of Zane and Quinton. And when the FBI went to drain the pool, because all they know is what the family's telling them, this is what could have happened, type of thing. Right. Even though they already knew they had it pretty much summed up that he's probably in a landfill somewhere, because Lie-lani she's just a very lazy person, but we're led to believe that the day he disappeared, she decided to do housework and drive out of her way with a trash can at the curb to go to the trailer park to throw away household trash into a dumpster. So this is what Billy posted on Facebook. Do I have any friends that could help me fix the pool or that can guide me on doing the work myself? She was mad that the FBI drained her pool, and she swears that they ripped the liner. She wanted them to refill the pool, treat it, and put a new liner in.
And her child, had they found him at that point?
Nope.
So she's concerned about a pool when her baby's missing.
Yep.
Wow. How long before he was missing did they find him in the landfill? Had to be just a few days, right?
Oh gosh, no. Agents came in from Quantico, Virginia. So he disappeared October 5th, and they found him a few days before Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, they had a very long search out there.
They had to have a bunch of cadaver dogs and all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, that's amazing. I don't know the size of the landfill, but I mean, that's an amazing feat. That's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. 2 million pounds of trash.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, you know, they could have still charged her with circumstantial evidence, but finding his body was huge, and the ME hopefully was able to determine a cause of death. So is this the landfill right here?
Yeah, I'm going to show this to you.
What city is this in?
Savannah, Georgia, Chatham County.
So that's a huge landfill, I'm sure. So what they've done here, because I've had to do this before, what they've done here is they determined they know where each truck dumps. So they have a grid in these landfills, and they know, okay, truck number 1 went to this trailer park, and this is where he's been dumping the trash. So they did a grid search, and they excavated a bunch of the trash and are bringing out here to go through it all. So they'll do this, and they'll skim the top, skim, and the excavators will bring it down. But at least they have a big area to do it in, which is pretty efficient. I mean, I like what they've done here. That's very clean.
Well, imagine what his little body went through.
Yeah.
I mean, he was compacted all the way there.
Yeah, driven over on the fill itself by huge excavating machines, crushed. I mean, it's really hard for me to believe that the ME would be able to determine a cause of death based on those facts. But you can tell post-mortem, and you can tell when something's done post-mortem. So
could it be from something inside the house when they said he was hit by an object?
Yeah, absolutely.
Discovering new places. And
you could determine, like I said, you can determine injuries that happened post-mortem. So after he was deceased, if he was run over or whatever, that's post-mortem. And you can tell injuries that happened, that caused his death. So hopefully he was able to do that, and the body wasn't. Well, obviously, what was the determination? Did it say head trauma?
Well, hang on, listen to this. They haven't put all that out yet because we haven't had trial yet. And remember, I mean, he was not only victimized allegedly by Lie-lani, but also the waste management system. I mean, they had a friggin' machine, 150 tons,
Right.
that drove over him.
Right, and that's where the ME is going to come in, because, like I said, if I were to, you know, not getting grabbed, if I were to kill you and then throw you in the trash, and you get run over 15 times by, you know, tons and tons of equipment, as an ME, I mean, I've been to many. Hell, our ME used to hand me the reciprocating the saw. It's a vibrating saw. He used to let me actually do part of the autopsies. It was pretty cool. It was Dr. Reeves. But you can tell post-mortem, which is after death, you know, injuries like your skull was crushed after you were dead. You can tell because of blood and how, you know, how injuries are, you know, occur. You know, when you get an injury, you bleed into that injury.
Well, they didn't find him all in one piece. They found like a baby tooth here, part of his scalp, a little bone here. So when they say he was struck by an object, I'm just assuming, I'm not the investigator, that when the FBI was inside the home, they found something that led them to believe he was beaten with it.
So they found a tooth in the home?
No, out the landfill.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Listen,
I mean,
this is very
there's a crime scene. If there's blood, did they say there was blood? Has that been released? Is there blood in the home?
They haven't released any of that. I'll post the probable cause affidavit and the 19 indictments. And a lot of the indictments are just her lies, but the probable cause affidavit will make you sick. Listen to this.
Details revealed about the death of Quinton Simon. The prosecutor is officially responding to the defense attorney's motions to throw out parts of that indictment. WJCL 22 News' Andy Cole has been following the story since the very beginning, joining us now in the studio with the very latest. And Andy, she wants some charges thrown out.
Greg, that's right. Back in March, the defense tried to throw out 3 murder charges and 4 of the false statement charges. They did it by filing 2 demurs. Today, the state responded to those claims, sharing new details about Quinton's gruesome demise. For the first time, we're learning more about the final moments of 20-month-old Quinton Simon's life. In the response to Lie-lani Simon's special demur, the state outlined what happened after Lie-lani allegedly threw Quinton's body into a trailer park dumpster.
Peas in a pod. Hello, my girlfriend. She said they used luminol in the house, then stated he's not alive anymore, and the mom is the #1 suspect.
So they lit up the house. They found they when you use luminol, it'll proteins will light up. So they obviously, by making that statement, they found something in the house which would indicate that there was some kind of probably trauma, which, you know, caused bleeding. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see what the incident report. So what a lot of people don't realize is you have your PCA. Your PCA does not list many details. Generally, it's just the elements of the crime. And if the elements of the crime are there, you put that into PCA, judge reads it, decides whether to move forward with detention, you know. And then the incident report, which is the investigation, is culmination of everyone involved. And then they do supplementals to that. That's where you get your story. You get your ME, you know, reports. Everything goes in and creates, and, you know, you have your story. Your picture is painted for this crime. And that's what we're not seeing, apparently. I mean, is there anything that's available to the general public at this point, or is there?
No, just the PCA. We hear the dispatch of the 911 and the indictments, and then this that the prosecuting attorney's office put out.
Yeah,
hours after throwing Quinton's body away, a garbage truck came, lifted the trash, and dumped it into a compactor inside the truck. When the load arrives at the landfill, it's dumped on the ground, and a bulldozer shoves the garbage 300 feet into different cells. Quote, This is not a neat process, prosecutors write in their response. They say it requires multiple sweeps by the bulldozers that shove, spread, and smear the contents. Once at the cell, prosecutors say Quinton's body was then compacted again by a 50-ton steamroller. Quote, all of which is to say Quinton's body went through a lot. By the time the expert searchers found him, after looking for more than a month, his body had undergone severe trauma and decomposition. And it wasn't in just one place. Prosecutors say he was dispersed across the landfill. Quote, a bone here, a tissue there. The basis of Lie-lani's demurrer for the murder charges is that the state wasn't specific enough in their indictment. But the state argues that an indictment can only be as specific as the evidence. With his body in pieces, prosecutors admit no cause of death has been determined or likely ever will.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I thought I was under an impression they had a cause of death, but
Well,
I would be very impressed if
came
they
out
came
and
up with
said, originally they said that he was hit. This is in the probable cause affidavit, with an object. You know, and then we get to Lie-lani complaining about harassment, which I'm not down with that, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think the police should be allowed to do their job. The investigators, they have a hard enough job. You know, they go to DAs all the time. I mean, I know like the county that I'm from, Rogers County, it seems like the sheriff's department's always fighting with the DA's office. They're like, this isn't enough. This isn't enough. I mean, to the point that the sheriff of Rogers County towed in an entire double wide trailer to the courthouse parking lot and said, there's all the evidence. You get it yourself.
Well, you know, that it's sad because as an investigator, I'm 55 years old. You know, when I started in law enforcement in 1987, you know, DNA was in its infancy stages. So we had to actually do investigations. We had to conduct interviews. We had to figure it out. We had to break people down. And where we are as a society today, and I can tell you right now, there are plenty of cases, homicides, bloody homicides, where we went in, we found no DNA. It's just like the Idaho case. You know, if there's no DNA in the car, people are like, well, he mustn't have done it. Well, you know, it's very plausible that you could go in and stab 4 people and not leave your own DNA, especially when it's, you know, 28 degrees out. You're already, you know, you've got massive amounts of clothes on already, probably wearing gloves already, you have a mask on. You know, for you to deposit your own DNA in a situation like that, it's very plausible that you didn't. And you know, if you're smart, back soon where you could just there may not be DNA in the car, but we don't know if there's DNA in the car because we don't know, because there's a gag order. People are saying, well, there's no DNA in the car. How do you know? That aggravates the hell out of me. But where I'm going with that is people want DNA now to get a conviction. The state attorney wants DNA because they want a solid case. They don't want to have to fight. They don't want to have to do their job. They don't want to have to take this case to trial. They want solid evidence before they'll even file on a lot of these cases. And that's where, you know, sheriffs and chiefs of police and investigators in general get so aggravated with the state attorney's office because they want a rock solid case. They don't want any circumstantial stuff. That's where we are today. And that's scary. Mm-hmm. That's scary. I'm telling you right now, because I mean, personally, I could go commit a homicide very easily. I'd leave my cell phone at home, go commit a homicide. I could have all the motive in the world. But you got to be able to prove it. You have to be able to prove method and opportunity is all you really need to prove. Motive is a bonus. You know, you usually only get motive from the suspect. You know, unless it's an obvious situation like a bank robbery or something like that. But usually you have to get direct motive from an interview or an interrogation. Method and opportunity is all we need to prove. Did he have the method? Did he have the opportunity? Yeah. Did he have the method? Yeah. An ability? Yeah. But none of that matters anymore because we got to have that DNA. It's crazy to me.
Well, let me ask you this, since I have you in the hot seat and I'm loving this conversation and would love for you to come back anytime.
Sure. You can come to my show too.
Absolutely. Send me an email after this. It's cll72020@gmail.com. Write that down.
cll72020
at gmail.com. Do you believe that the CSI effect is actually affecting jurors like they're saying?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
even though they have
I'll be honest with you, I don't even watch those shows. They piss me off.
Yeah.
I can't watch them because they're so unrealistic most of the time. I mean, it's just doesn't happen that way. It's so Hollywood has blown this way out of proportion. There's some cool stuff, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But like we're waiting on the Colbert, we're waiting on the cast report. And the cast report, I'm telling you, when that hits, it's going to be like the Murdaugh case. And the Murdaugh case, if no one's watched that case, they should take the time and watch it because that is single-handedly the most impressive case I've ever seen put together. It was amazing. But here we are. Now, do you not think that all this exposure for that case, the Idaho case, and any case today is going to make people smart? They're going to know to leave these things at home.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to know what not to do. So it's just going to be easier. I mean, I could go right now. I could go to a urinal in any restaurant. I could pick a pubic hair out of a urinal, throw it in a plastic bag, go kill somebody, plant that pubic hair there. I mean, if it's a rape, who's going to be the prime suspect? That guy could be the prime suspect. He'd be totally set up because of DNA, because maybe he's in CODIS. Well, we got a suspect here. This guy's been arrested. He's a convicted felon. We got a rape. How'd your pubic hair get there, sir? Do you not think that people are going to start doing that stuff? They will. When it's premeditated, they will. And it's already happened, I'm sure.
And they're already doing it.
Yeah. So you're going to cast doubt on juries. I mean, I love DNA, don't get me wrong. But people are going to figure stuff out. And the CSI effect, like you just brought up, is going to have a huge effect on cases in the future. People think they know it all, and they want to see that DNA evidence, or they're not going to convict. You can have all the circumstantial evidence in the world, and you can get past all your suppression hearings and everything and get this evidence in. And when it comes down to it, it's like the Kohlberger case. They may convict him, but they may not go forward with the death penalty if they don't have solid evidence. I think they have facial recognition from the car. I think there's cameras that have him in the car leaving the area. I think there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about. And but again, they're going to focus so hard on the fact that, what if there's no DNA in the car? What if there's no blood anywhere, on any of his clothes that they retrieved?
Well, I think it would also be considering, for obvious reasons, how heavily vested the families are in the case, meaning the Goncalves family, the Mogan family, the Chapin family, Xana Kernodle's family. Shannon Gray is the attorney that's representing. I'm getting way off track here.
No, it's okay.
He's representing, as you know, the Goncalves family. And as an attorney, I really wish that he would convey to them there may not be a death penalty. They may be holding this over his head as a bargaining chip to get him to plea.
Well, I hope that's not the case, because I think that they're cowards if they do that. I think they're going to catch all kinds of hell if they do that. But there's one family that I'm not real sure wants the death penalty, and I think that's Ethan's family. I'm kind of on the fence on them. They've been really quiet about it. You know, I don't know what their feelings are on it. They're you know, very religious. So I'm hoping that all the family members want the death penalty. But yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, but we're from different states, though. I mean, in Oklahoma, they would rather do the death penalty than anything. You know, Florida, they have a conveyor belt to take them to the chair.
Right, but you know, in death penalty states, which I agree with the death penalty, don't get me wrong, but you have an automatic appeal. So the defendant doesn't have to file it. It's automatically filed by the state. So in this case in Idaho, as soon as if he gets convicted and he's sentenced to death, then there's an automatic appeal that goes in. I don't know if people understand that. So the process is automatically started for him. And here's where legislation needs to, another thing we need to work on. I mean, there's a chance that he could outlive the parents. That's how sickening it is. This man could sit in jail for 25 years before he's put down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where we need to work on things too. We need legislation to stop this. You get 5 years. If you can't prove that you're innocent within 5 years, then sorry, bye-bye.
Yeah, after you've already been found guilty by a jury of your peers.
Right.
Real quick,
right.
What is your channel name?
Crime Analysis 101. CRIMEANALYSIS 101. And I just started my channel. I'm on my 3rd week. I've done, I think, six shows now. I had a little bit of some house cleaning I had to do for my first couple shows because I was a guest on another show. I don't want to get into that. But because I decided I didn't want to be on that show anymore, then all of a sudden I was never a detective and I was a liar and all this stuff. So I had to just kind of sit back and humiliate him in the end. And
people are crazy.
Yeah, oh, it's insane. You know, I'm on the show all these times and love me, but when I decide I want to start my own show, all of a sudden I'm a liar and I'm not a detective. I was never a cop. I bought my uniforms from Walmart. I mean,
people are friggin' crazy. Don't even worry.
It was so insane. And I mean, they were attacking me before I even started when I just did a little post that I would be starting my own show. The minions that came from this thug show, and that's what it is. It's just a bunch of thugs, and they just started attacking me. It was like unbelievable. You're a liar. You stole. I stole badges. I mean, it was unbelievable. So I'm suing him for libel and slander. So he owes $50,000 in back child support. So he's got major things he needs to worry about. Right about
and now he's got more major things. And I say all the time on this show, and we all agree, we have a great community here. Everyone,
right.
I mean, I can't say that we're like-minded. We have discussions every day. We're not an echo chamber.
Right.
But I say all the time, watch where you step out there. There's a lot of goofy people on the internet.
Oh man, this guy's a great manipulator. He's manipulated so many people. It's unbelievable. And
who is it? If you don't mind me asking.
T-Rev.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Oh yeah.
Which means nothing if I don't know.
He thinks he's the king of true crime. He forbids people to go like to other shows, and you know, he'll kick his mods out if they go and view another show and he sees them over there. He does stuff like that. And,
does he pay your bills?
No. And I was a guest. It was kind of quick story. I was following Adventures with Purpose on the Kylie Rodney case, and he was in there, and I'm just like, I clicked on his link, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. It was the Idaho case when it first started, and they're showing this white car in front of the house, and they're saying that that's an Elantra. Well, as a THI, I understand that the brow, the windows on a car, it's called if you look at the side of a four-door, it looks like your eye. You know, it goes like this. So your corners are where, you know, you look at those corners for different makes of cars. So I could tell if, you know, if it's an Altima or an Elantra, there's a huge difference there. So I'm looking for an Elantra. So if the Elantra came together like this in the corner, and an Altima goes up and kind of goes like at an angle like that, well, that car was clearly not an Elantra, and they're saying it was an Elantra. And I'm like, that's not an Elantra. First time I was on the show, I just saw it. So I go into chat and I'm like, that's not an Elantra. And then I call in and I'm telling them that's how I got started on the show. And, you know, I didn't vet the guy. I really didn't care. I mean, it was just kind of a fun thing that I was doing at night. And I wound up as a guest on the show because he had no credibility on the show. It was just a guy talking about crime. And I was a detective for a long time. I was homicide, narcotics. I did just about everything you could possibly do in law enforcement. And so I brought credibility to the show and people wanted to hear me. And then I get people, John, you should start your own show. And one day on the show, somebody said, oh, this is the Detective John show now. And he lost his mind and said, if I wanted to start my, so I'm like, he said, if I want to start my own show, he would support me. And he's talking about, this is my show, you know, doing all this crazy stuff. And so I kept that in mind and went and I started my own thing. I said, you know, he said, so anyway, that's what happened. And then when I left the show, you know, he started trying to say that I was a liar and I was never a detective. And it was insane. It was insane. And he said I was convicted felon and all this stuff. I've never been convicted of a crime in my life. I don't even have a ticket. Well, I did. I'm sorry. When I was 16, I got in a car wreck, but I won that. I went to court and won.
There you go.
So anyway.
And the internet's a big place. You
It
can
is
have
a big
50
place.
channels if you want.
And you know what's sad is because if you put allegedly in front of anything, you can say anything you want about anybody. It's insane to me. And YouTube won't do anything about it. I mean, I've got a man that spewed out there that I stole badges and I was a convicted felon. Absolute lies.
Well, there's a way. There's a lot of people
I've got attorneys involved now, but
have filed lawsuits, and what they do, and this is totally off topic because there's creators that have been sued and the people that sued have won.
Right. Oh, I'll win.
What they do is they basically sue YouTube because, I mean, you know, when you have a lawyer, they know how to read between the lines. Yeah. And they sue YouTube for violating their own terms of service.
Exactly. Well, I already sent a certified letter to YouTube with my evidence. I've done everything, you know, and they still haven't, you know, as far as I know, they haven't done anything. But yeah, you can say anything you want to say, and it could be up there for months before anything happens. But there's no damage done to me. I mean, I made him look like an idiot at the end. I mean, look, this is me right here. I mean, that's me. I've got a huge picture everywhere. I'm on my Analysis 101 by Detective John. You'll see if you scan through. But guess what?
I don't think anybody around here is worried about it.
He hasn't been on a show in almost 20 something days now because I exposed him. I got the state of New Jersey on him now, going after his disability because he owes nearly $50,000 in back child support, and got on his live show and called the mother of his children a prostitute. She came on my show with her kids. If you get a chance, watch it. I know you've come to my show because you clicked in, and yeah. But I don't know if you've watched any of them. But the first two shows are basically exposing him and his lies. I built the case, and I ended him. So he'll be back though, because he's a narcissist, and that's what he does. Now I got COVID, so he's telling everybody he's got COVID, and he posts his medication of his psych medicine that he's now supposedly taken, and wants to know. So he's strumming the heartstrings. That's what he does. He puts his dog with a halo behind him on his bed. Puts his dog there, has the dog there for like a month with the halo on, and people are like, treats for Sosa. Disgusting. Made thousands of dollars, allegedly. I'm not sure, but he made thousands of dollars, I think, off of his dog alone. Disgusting. Anyway, we'll get back to the case. I'm sorry. You asked.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Love having you up here. Hang on. I'm going to put John's channel in here real quick. Pinto says, has Quinton's case been given a court date yet, Brooks? No. But we're going to go back through Lie-lani when she was outside of the garage with Billy, spilling her woe is me to the world as agents from Quantico, Virginia were sifting through millions of pounds of trash to find any remnant of Quinton.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Dawn Baker. In a WTOC exclusive, Lie-lani Simon, the mother of missing Chatham County toddler Quinton Simon, is speaking out tonight for the very first time since he was reported missing nearly 3 weeks ago. Chatham County Police and the FBI believe Quinton is dead and are actively searching a local landfill for his remains. Police say Lie-lani is the only suspect in his disappearance as well as his death. And tonight we have team coverage with our Shay Schrader and investigative reporter Max Dieknike. We begin with Shay, who joins us live outside of the Simon home. Shay, what did she talk to you about?
Lie-lani and I spoke about a number of things, including what she remembers from the morning she first reported Quinton missing to what life has been like as the days have gone on, still with no sign of Quinton. I talked to Lie-lani as well as her mother, Billy Howell, who were both just distraught over Quinton's disappearance. They say they've been harassed in the days and weeks since Quinton disappeared, but Lie-lani wants everybody to know that she's not running away.
I'm here. I've been here every day since this. I am not running and I'm not hiding.
No, you're not running or hiding. You were smoking cigarettes outside when protesters were asking you to turn yourself in, and your mama took you to Tybee Island to tie one on. You're not going to see one tear roll out of her eye.
And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to that police station.
If something comes up that I am at fault.
Why would she even say something like that? Honestly.
Yeah.
Why? What would possess her to even articulate that sentence?
Well, even better than that, when they found remains, scattered remains of Quinton, not all of him, and they arrested her, Billy said that she went and got her out of rehab, took her to China King and got her some Chinese food, and then took her to the FBI. None of that happened. They went to the house and picked her up.
When did the FBI get involved?
October 5th, 2022.
And when was he reported
Chatham County
missing?
Police.
Do what?
And when was he reported missing?
Same day.
And how long was he missing before he was reported?
4 hours, maybe.
He was missing way before that.
Oh, yeah, I think he was in that dumpster way before that, but we don't know what time she got down there.
Right.
Repeatedly said that though they've named Lie-lani the prime suspect in her son's disappearance and death, they don't believe she's a flight risk. Lie-lani says that she and her mother, Billy Howell, spend their days in the backyard of their home because it's too difficult to be inside with reminders of Quinton and the fact that he's gone.
Every day that goes by is less tears and more anger, not knowing what's happening, if that's even understandable. You wake up every day angry, hoping that you're going to get a phone call, and that phone call just doesn't come.
CCPD and the...
So if you watch her eyes, she's constructing that answer.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that knows anything about interview and interrogation, she's constructing what she's saying. She's making this, she's trying to think about what she's going to say, and she's constructing it. She's not being truthful right there. I can tell she's lying. She's using a construction portion of her brain. And this is so much like the Casey Anthony case, because I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but grandma is the one that probably pushed this, just like the Anthony case. Where's my grandbaby? What's going on? And it's so eerily similar just from the little bit I know. I mean, am I correct there?
I don't think Billy was really pushing for too much. She was actually the one that said no body, no murder in Georgia.
Right. But at the point that they reported it, I mean, baby mama is not the one that, wanted to run to the police department.
No,
Sure.
the babysitter made her call.
Babysitter. Okay. Gotcha. So that whole
FBI
March,
haven't
that thing
released
that we
many
watched
details in
earlier
the
where she
case
was at the
and haven't said
babysitter
why they believe Quinton is in a landfill. Police say they're doing that to preserve any potential court cases down the line. Lie-lani and Billy tell me that they get their new information about the case from watching the news and that they feel all they can do now is hope.
We want something great to come out of this, but mostly we want him not to be found in that landfill. We want him found happy and alive.
I'm going to help Billy with this. We want him not to be found, comma, ... She means they don't want him to be found, period.
That was a Freudian slip.
Uh-huh. This has always bothered me. In that landfill.
Yeah.
Well, then we're...
And that they feel all they can do now is hope.
We want something great to come out of this, but mostly we want him not to be found in that landfill. We want him found happy and alive. We want him back in our arms, holding us. That's what we want.
So she actually said no body, no
We're
crime.
just hoping that he's in somebody's house.
Her mother did. Yeah, Billy did.
So, yeah, that's a pretty cold thing to say.
Well, and if you look at the screen right here, Lie-lani looks kind of jovial.
Yeah, because she's constructing what she's going to say. See, her eyes are going up to the right. She's not just flowing. She's thinking real hard about what she's going to say.
Yep.
And grandma, she might be actually truthful. Let's watch her a little more.
House and they're feeding him, and they were hoping that, maybe they wanted a baby or couldn't have a baby. Maybe they thought they were his savior. But it's not. That's their best hopes at this point.
Maybe they thought they were his savior. Saving from what?
So she didn't live with her mom, right?
Oh yeah, she did. Her and all the kids. Billy tried to evict them. Even the kids she had guardianship of.
So here I'll go back to what I was saying before. So CPS worker does an investigation, says the child's not supposed to be around the mother, takes the child away from the mother, yet the mother lives there.
Yep.
Does that make any sense? No.
Zero to me, but her registered address was the trailer park where she put Quinton in the dumpster.
Yeah. So again, my opinion, someone from Child Protective Services dropped the ball here, and that's why this child, the little boy is dead because of her, I believe. But inevitably, had someone done their job, this probably wouldn't have happened. Because if you instill some accountability and some fear that you're going to have something, you're going to be harassed, then you're going to take care of your son and make changes in your life. Obviously, that didn't happen. Child wasn't supposed to be with her. Grandma leaves the child with her, and she's now the guardian. she's going to be held accountable.
That's what I'm waiting on. Because
I think that the
this
state
is
will probably.
Leilani's fault. It is Billy's fault. And the
Right.
fact that CPS, you could have 1,000 workers to one kid, you still have family failures.
Right.
100%.
And
You
she
can have 1,000 social workers. You can't scare people like this.
Yep.
All they care about is their drugs, their alcohol, their food stamps, scamming the system. They are criminals. They are child abusive criminals. And Billy lost all of her kids before.
Well, it's like you pointed out before. You roll up, and that looks like, you know, a pretty nice home. It's probably, you know, relatively clean. I'm sure that the daughter doesn't do anything.
Who, lie lazy? She doesn't do nothing.
Lie lazy, yeah. Here's a prime example of a parent enabling their child. Because this parent, in my opinion, hasn't ever held this child accountable. She gets away with whatever she wants to do. She's been let to run. I mean, she was probably pregnant at, do the math, what is it, 17 or 18?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a problem. You know, this isn't a great dynamic here. So you have an issue. Somebody calls, you know, CPS. They do an investigation, and they don't follow up with it. They simply take the road with the least traveled road, you know, the least resistance. What's the easiest thing to do here? The easiest thing to do is just give the child to grandma. She's got a nice home, but mom lives there. It makes no sense to me.
Mom lives there, but they don't know that mom lives there. They have her address as the trailer park. And what was missed by Billy especially is she's already got a child in jail for murder.
Jesus. So
it can't get any worse.
So she lied to investigators.
There you go. So she needs to be in jail too, but I don't think they're going to do anything with old Bill Joe until, or as I call her, Bildo, until they have a guilty conviction on Lie-lani.
It's holding us. That's what we want. We're just hoping that he's in somebody's house and they're feeding him, and we're hoping that, you know, maybe they wanted a baby or couldn't have a baby. Maybe they thought they were his savior.
She's laid in bed and thought about this for days, what she was going to say.
You bet.
She's rehearsed this. She's scripted it. She knew exactly what she was going to say. She knew that the press was out there, and she came out and said it. And it's a total fabricated lie. I can tell by just watching her talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's not proof. It's just me knowing what I know, and I'm an expert interrogator. And, you know, I can tell deception when I see it. She's very deceptive there.
Well, she's no Meryl Streep, because
no,
you can be the most amateur. You could be first day on the police academy and see she's full of it.
Right, exactly. I mean, doesn't take a rocket scientist. You know, it's easy. But again, it's getting harder to prosecute cases. Well, it's getting harder for entities, police agencies, and investigators to present a case wrapped in a bow, give it to the TOT it to the state attorney's office, and a state attorney opening the case and not liking the case because they don't have DNA. They don't have more. We got all this stuff. Like imagine that you had all this stuff, but you just didn't have a body, corpus delicti. So according to grandma, no body, no crime. And that's true in a lot of cases, but circumstantial evidence can be used in court. So a lot of people think it can't, but yeah, circumstantial evidence can be used. You know, that's how you build a case, and you paint a picture and you present the case, and you let a jury of your peers decide whether, you know, they have enough to convict or not. That's why Casey Anthony got off.
I blame Jeff Ashcroft for that.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
They over prosecuted. They went for the death penalty.
Exactly.
They did not. They didn't even bring in her internet searches where she was looking up chloroform and all that stuff.
They, like you said, they overcharged that case. They should have just, you know, made it a manslaughter case, because they didn't have enough. So they should have done that, and she would have got convicted. But instead, they went for the juggler, and they didn't have enough evidence. And she got a good attorney that laid the foundation and created that doubt, and, you know, strummed those heartstrings of the jurors, and he over prosecuted the case.
Period. But also, I mean, but he knew that there was a big problem, because he went to Jose Baez and says, okay, we'll do murder too. And he said, no, death penalty or nothing. Because Jose Baez knew there was no way. And then the judge's instructions to the jury made it where there's no way they could have convicted her.
Right. I mean,
people have given that jury hell, but those were the judge's instructions.
That's right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that was one of the most disgusting, aside from OJ, that I've ever seen. And I came up, you know, through my early years in law enforcement with OJ, and people don't realize that case single-handedly changed domestic violence laws, because we went from, you go to a disturbance at a house and you separate the two. All right, you go stay at your mom's house. Bye-bye. You know, now, because of OJ, if there's a propensity for violence, so if I go to first thing you do is you go to a call and you look for previous events. So you ask dispatcher, we got any previous there? Yeah, we've got 5 domestic calls there. So I'm already going there thinking in my mind, I'm taking somebody to jail, because this has got to stop. Now, you pretty much, when you go to a domestic call, you better be able to articulate why you didn't take somebody to jail. It's that bad. So what I did when I went to a domestic call, before I wound up in CBD, when I was still on the road, and I would ask them both, do you love him? Yeah. Do you love her? Yeah. I said, well, we've been here like 3 times. I'm arresting both of you. Why did I do that? Well, because if you arrest one, then the male or female winds up having to go through all this domestic violence stuff. You know, they got to pay all this money. They got to go to counseling. They got to do all kinds of pretrial intervention stuff. And then the wife or the husband or whoever the victim was will always hold that over the other one's head. I'm calling 911, you're done deal. But if you arrest both of them, and I've been in arguments with some of my supervisors, guess what happens? Both of them have to do the same thing. And I ran into a couple at the mall with my children, and they're like, thank you for doing that, because both of them actually got counseling and it saved their marriage. But because of OJ, because of the media, and because of what happened there, it changed the whole dynamic of how we handle domestic violence.
As it should, because she made a ton of phone calls.
You're
but
absolutely
because
right.
they saw him, they were like, no, he's a good guy, and they left alone. By the way, when we say OJ around here, that's my cat's name. He's a black Bombay cat. And so he starts jumping around. He thinks you're calling for him.
That's hilarious.
On that note, I'm going to shut the show down. I've kept everybody about, 2.5 hours. This has been a great conversation. Loved having you up, John. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate you, and I would love to have you on my show too. So we'll make that happen. I mean,
anytime.
I think we should all collab together, because I don't want to get into he said, she said, and these other shows and their irresponsible reporting. But what they have that we don't have is they all kind of stick together. If you notice, if you ever watch some of these other shows that come up with these crazy theories, they all stick together. They go to each other's shows and help one another out. We don't do that. So I would love to be able to collaborate with you. And I was on Brian's show last night. We're good friends. Let's talk live. So we are going to collaborate, and I would love to collaborate with you. I'll come on your show. You come on my show. I usually go on at night. I don't know when you go on during the day.
Oh, I'm in bed by 6 o'clock, dude. I'm up at 3 in the morning.
So I'll plug your show.
I have a Golden Girl schedule. Okay, I'm telling you, I'm up at 3 in the morning.
Are you a nurse or something, or you work
Well,
shift work? You don't have to tell me. Don't worry about it. You don't have to tell me.
I don't go into what I do, but
Yeah. No worries.
my Lord, it's just one thing after another. But remember, when you come on the panel, if you say OJ, my cat will go crazy.
That's funny.
Everybody, what's the secret word? OJ. We don't say OJ. All right, this has been a great show. Let's light it up. Justice for Quinton.
Yes, ma'am.
Justice for Quinton. Yep, his mother allegedly murdered him. I just do not think that all these detectives, FBI agents from Quantico, Virginia, the GBI, I don't think they could all be wrong. But I do think a few YouTubers could be wrong. Like I say on the show all the time, guess how many cases I've solved? 0.
Right.
Guess how many warrants I've gotten? 0. Guess how much CCTV I've gotten? 0. Guess how many tire tracks, footprints, fingerprints, hair, you name it, I've gotten? 0. We're here.
But you have common sense.
And common sense is uncommon anymore. But I want to thank all the mods for being here. I saw a few of you being a little rude to the mod squad. Now, that is not cool at all. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, okay? I understand that we have some new people here, but you see, this is my living room, and these are all my friends. And so we have to remember the first day of kindergarten, we got to be nice to each other. May not like what someone is saying, but that doesn't give you a reason to lash out to someone. I saw someone call Juicy Tequila Bobo a fat twat. Now, I feel bad for her husband. Do you have a fat twat, JTB? Gotta be kidding me. All right, so I will see you guys back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. And if you do not have a members link, please get it, because we have a big Labor Day show on Monday without going into labor. Love you guys. Thank you for being the best chat and the best community on YouTube. And let's have a round of applause for our friend Detective John.
Thank you.
All
Hey,
right.
let me give you my email real quick. It's easy.
Okay.
It's Detective John spelled out 68 at Gmail.
All right. I
I
got
can't
it.
read my own writing, so if you're sitting there, just shoot me a quick email. I mean, yours is long and I wrote it, but Detective John 68 at Gmail.
All right. And I appreciate you coming up on panel. Great discussion. I just love having discussions like this. And someone said, DT, is my husband in here? Did he hear me say fat twat? All right. I will see you guys. If I don't see you in Discord today for the voice chat or in one of the Facebook groups, then I'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. You guys are the absolute best.